This is the third part of this series that we're wanting you to look at on how to set up your websites. We've already created the folders in part 1, and then we have set up the environment within Dreamweaver, setting up your site in part 2. Now I need you to have a look at, and this is really important too, I see this being one of the common errors that I'm fixing as I walk around the room, is to make sure that you are setting up your HTML files correctly, and also that you are setting up for an external style sheet. What you need to do is you come into here. Now some of you may have the welcome screen that shows up first. I've got rid of mine, and if you have that welcome screen show up, all you need to do is click on the lower left hand. There's a little tick box that says don't show the welcome screen again. I suggest you do that. But for now, let's go in. I'm going to create new. So I want to create a new site. A new web page. Now the error I'm seeing is that some of you are creating it with this one here. See where my cursor is wiggling? An HTML template. You do not want to do that. You want to click on this here, HTML. You need to have analyzed your design to see which of these following formats best suits your design, and you can figure out which one it is. Each one of you will have something different. For now, I'm just going to pick this one. So what that tells me is that it's a fixed width. That's what the padlock means, and it has a header and a footer. Now, looking over here, in your coursework, you're talking about how you're using web standards. This here is how you are ensuring you're using web standards. You are clicking on XHTML 1.0 transitional. That is one of the key web standards. So the very fact that you aren't changing that and you're using Dreamweaver means that by default, without doing anything, you are using web standard. Now this bit here that says layout CSS, create new file. This is important. You need to create a new file if you haven't already got a CSS file showing up over here on the right. Create a new one. So here it is here. If you've already got one on the right, you can link to it and browse to it there. You do not want to use this option. If you use this option, it's just putting the CSS at the head of this particular page. We want you to be using this one here, create new file. So then I'm going to create this new file. So I'm just checking again. I need HTML, not a template, but an HTML. I want one column fixed, header and footer, centered, and you of course will pick whichever suits you. I'm going to make sure that it says XHTML 1.0 transitional, and that is one of the web standards, and then I'm creating a new file for all my CSS. So now I can go ahead and create it. Now it's going to ask me, what are you going to call the CSS? Now, I don't like it when I see files called css.css. You should have this CSS file, cascading style sheet file, named after your site name. So just like you've used the name of the site and the folder name, you should use it again here. So I'm going to call this echo style. So it's now going to create a file. It'll be empty. No, actually this one will have a bit in it because it's picking it up from the preset template. But this is where we will go and modify all the CSS. Sorry about that. So I hit save, and I now have here, looking up here, I've now created the CSS, and here is my untitled first HTML web page, and I can see that it's not saved because it says untitled. So what I should do is save it straight away, and I'll save it as, you can call it index, which of course is the name that you'll give to your home page. Do not call it home, call it index. Clicking on making sure that it's called index.html, and then I can hit save, and I'll just do that. Now looking over here at the echo style, I can see that it's now brought up the echo style.css. It's brought up the CSS that is the external style sheet that's attached to this. So if I click back into here, I can see that I'm in this untitled page here, and I'm looking at the source code. I'm looking at the HTML for this. So here I am in HTML, and I can see somewhere here I should see something that says instructions. there's the instructions. That there is the bit that we're seeing for there. Now up here I can see that it's linked through as an external style sheet to that style sheet I've just created that is now in the head of this document. And if I look down here, I should be able to find there are the two files I've just created, index.html and echostyle.css. So these are important parts that you must go through. The other thing you're going to have to watch is that if you're working on the content of the words that are in it, you need to be in HTML, and this is where you'll mark up things, as this is a heading 1, this is a paragraph. If you look over here, I can see that that HTML button is pressed, and that where my cursor is here under the be aware that it's a paragraph. If I click into here under instructions, it's seeing it as a heading. So I'm not worrying about how these things look at the moment, but you'll need to get an external style sheet set up using the XHTML. Make sure that you're using just a plain HTML page, not an HTML template page, and save your first one as index.html.